is in fact an artificial satellite. It is not a real planet. It can literally leave our orbit underneath its own power. According to the Andromedans, it was brought here from Ursa Minor, from a star system called Chauta that had 21 planets in it. It belonged to the 17th planet and was one of 4 moons. Now, there are ruins all over it. This is why the Apollo astronauts stopped going back. It's because there was somebody already there and they were told not to go back. Many of the materials that have been found on the moon, minerals, don't exist on our planet. The moon did not belong to part of the Earth. It was brought here, literally. Now, the upper echelon of the world government know this. They've known it for a very long time.
They announced that they were looking for people to do programming to send man to the moon. And I just thought, wow, I've got to go there.
Before she died, the woman who wrote the code for Apollo 11 confessed what actually happened during the moon landing. And it's not what NASA told you. When the lunar module was 3 minutes from the surface, the guidance computer did something no machine had ever done in spaceflight. It seized control. It overrode the data stream. It made autonomous life or death decisions that no human could have made in time. And then it landed the spacecraft with 25 seconds of fuel left. NASA buried this in classified technical reports for decades, because what that computer did during those final minutes destroyed the single most important myth of the space program, that astronauts were in control. The engineer's name was Margaret Hamilton. She built the software that saved the crew. She watched it happen in real time. And what she revealed before her death wasn't just a close call. It was evidence that the agency deliberately hid the most terrifying discovery of the Apollo program. The moment machines proved they were better at keeping humans alive than humans were. The night the moon nearly killed them. 3 minutes before Eagle was supposed to touch the lunar surface, the mission started dying. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were locked inside a cabin barely larger than a closet, descending toward the Sea of Tranquility. Every instrument was live. Every system was running at capacity. The ground was rising fast. And then, the onboard computer started screaming. Alarm 1202. Then 1201. Then 1202 again.
Alarm, it's at 1202.
1202.
The sound tore through the cabin and ripped through mission control like a blade. In Houston, Flight Director Gene Kranz watched 200 engineers go silent at the same time. Hands froze on consoles. Voices dropped to nothing. The room, a place specifically designed to manage chaos, became a tomb. Steve Bales, the 26-year-old guidance officer responsible for the computer systems, stared at his screen and felt his hands go cold. He knew exactly what those alarm codes meant. And he knew there was almost no time to act on that knowledge. Here's what NASA didn't explain to the public. These weren't routine warnings. These alarms were flagged during every training simulation as events that should never occur during a powered descent. Ever. They meant the guidance computer, the only system keeping the astronauts aligned with the surface, was drowning in data. It was being crushed under its own workload. And if it crashed, Armstrong and Aldrin would lose navigation, lose orientation, and lose any chance of landing safely, or getting home. Armstrong's heart rate climbed past 150 beats per minute. His voice stayed calm on the radio, but his body was betraying the truth. Aldrin read numbers off the display, calling out altitude and descent rate, trying to make sense of data that no longer made sense. On the ground, controllers scanned their screens with growing panic, trying to determine if the computer could hold together for just a few more minutes. And Gene Kranz had seconds, not minutes, not even a full minute, to make a decision that would define human history. Every controller in the room was looking at him. Every screen was flashing warnings. The clock was running out. Abort and admit failure in front of the entire world. A decade of work, billions of dollars, Kennedy's promise to the nation. All of it dead on live television while 600 million people watched. Or press on and gamble the lives of 2 men on a computer that was screaming for help. But here's the deal. At that exact moment, hundreds of miles from Houston, and 250,000 miles from the moon, a woman named Margaret Hamilton was watching the same data stream across her screen. She was the lead software engineer who had built the Apollo guidance computer from scratch at MIT's Instrumentation Laboratory. She knew every line of its code. She knew its architecture, its limits, and its failure modes better than any person alive. And when she saw those alarms flash across the data feed, she later described what she felt in a single word: terror. This had never happened before, not in testing, not in simulation, not in any previous Apollo mission. These alarm codes were supposed to be theoretical, warnings for scenarios engineers believed would never actually occur during flight. And yet, here they were, firing repeatedly.
According to two Soviet scientists who carefully analyzed all the data brought back from the moon in 1970. They even published an article about it in Sputnik magazine titled "Is the Moon Creation by Alien Intelligence?" But this wasn't the first time this idea was suggested, as ancient myths all talk about the moon and have something very interesting to say about it. If you go back far enough, eventually you get to one thing that many myths agree on: a time before the moon was here. The Proselenes is a period written by Roman and Greek authors about a people called the Arcadians, who were here before there was a moon in the heavens. In Bolivia, on the other side of the world, the ancient Tiwanaku also write about the same period, a time before there was a moon, and that it arrived here around 13,000 years ago. In Africa, the Zulu people have legends that explicitly state the moon is hollow, was brought into orbit by dragons, and is inhabited by reptilian beings. Yup, we're back in lizard people territory. And that there was a time when the entire earth was covered by a thick blanket of water vapor, so much that you could barely see the sun. When the moon arrived, all this water vapor pooled together on Earth's surface, causing a global flood that restarted civilization. Sounds familiar. And that it also stabilized the climate and changed the tides of the ocean, which, mind you, this was written thousands of years ago. We didn't even know about the moon's effects on our tides until more recent times. Now lately, official reports by professional astronomers have seen some crazy shit on the moon that we just can't explain. On March 7th, 1971, while observing the moon, a cloud of water vapor randomly appeared on the surface. It covered roughly 260 square kilometers and stayed there for over 14 hours. No explanation. We have multiple individual reports of astronomers seeing a glowing mist on the moon, all on separate occasions. All of these independent sightings were reported coming from the same spot, the Plato crater. Flashing lights with no explanation on the moon are surprisingly nothing new, as astronomers have been reporting them for hundreds of years. Today, NASA officially reports over 2,000 sightings of light flashes on the moon since 554 AD that couldn't be explained and still continue to this day. These flashing lights and mist on the moon were so common they were even given a name: transient lunar phenomena, TLP. Like the infamous blue gem, a glowing blue light that was seen out of the Aristarchus crater on the moon in 1992 and has been seen many times since. Close-up satellite photos of the lunar surface very frequently show physical anomalies that can't be explained as natural formations, much like we see on Mars, like tall spires much too high to be naturally forming, as confirmed by both Boeing and NASA scientists themselves. Strange structures with straight edges, perfect angles, squares, circles, and massive glowing objects that look nothing like their surrounding environments. Some of these discoveries even made front-page news of major publications, but were later denied by all media and even photoshopped out of official photos. And not surprisingly, the majority of these anomalous structures were found on the dark side of the moon, the side that we can't see from Earth. Almost like they're intentionally being hidden from us. Leading experts like US Air Force photo technician Carl Wolf noticed these himself and insists that artificial structures very much exist on the moon, which today these photos are either edited out or no longer available from NASA, who claim them to be just optical illusions. Not to mention the dozens of ultra-zoomed amateur videos of orbs and other crafts seen flying on and around the moon. Like, what is going on there? I really gotta get me one of those telescopic zoom cameras and try this out myself. All of these strange, unexplainable moon phenomena and characteristics kind of make it seem like the moon isn't the empty, desolate body we think it is, but rather possibly inhabited by an intelligent species who conduct operations on, or more likely below, the lunar surface. Perhaps even being some sort of massive, hollowed out spacecraft that came here a long time ago and sits in perfect orbit around us, watching our every move. Let's be real, NASA. That's no move.
I've seen everything that has ever happened, ever will happen, ever could happen, and yet, what the hell is this?